Hello, Scott Haskin here to talk about the album Haunted Holidays Deadly Christmas 2. This one and Deadly Christmas 3 were actually written and recorded at the same time. I wrote the stories for all of the songs together and then just decided, kind of broke them up between the albums and figured out what voicings I wanted to use for each, whether I wanted to use the narrator or the old wizard guy. And then just kind of decided which would work better, which flowed better, how to arrange them, and then I went and did all the dialogue and then the music. So the music was actually the last thing that was done. I learned a lot doing the first album, and I thought that would make the other two albums easier. It didn't, but it helped in some ways. It gave me a more cohesive idea of how to do it. I tightened up my skills with the sidechain compression to use over with the dialogue over the music, and I really had kind of a much more solid idea of how I wanted to structure the music with the dialogue so that it kind of optimized both. It didn't, the dialogue didn't encroach too much on the music, and the music supported the dialogue and shined where it needed to. I also learned a lot about how to pace the dialogue and how to leave a little bit more in the way of spaces for the music to kind of take over here and there. So overall, I thought the production on the second and third album was a little better because of the benefit of the first album. I'm really glad I did the first album on its own so that I could learn those things to make albums 2 and 3 shine a little bit more, although I'm very, very happy with the first album. In fact, I probably listen to that one the most when I do listen to my own music, which I really don't do a whole lot. Over my left shoulder, or to your right, you can see the beautiful artwork that was done by Kelly Kincard at OutsideTheBox.Photo. She really blew me away with this one. I had no idea what I wanted. I just said, I love what you did on the first one. So we have 3 albums we're going to do. So think about what you're going to do for all 3 of them maybe, and then work on the concept for the second one, because I didn't want the images to be the same. They didn't necessarily have to relate except for the overall theme, but I wanted some continuity between the second and the third, and they're all 3 just absolutely stunning work. And then enhancing that even more is the lettering that was done by Rebecca Poole at dreams2media.com. She does a phenomenal job with my lettering. I really love the sort of ghostly, haunting green that she used for this font. The placement and all that is excellent. It's I can't do lettering myself because I don't understand how you color it so that it makes sense within the words, but it also, fights against all the various colors of the background. If you're doing a book and the edges of the cover are black and you've got plenty of room to just put lettering in there, great. You've got your picture in the middle, plenty of room on the top or bottom for the title, for the author's name, all of that. But I don't know how you work with this kind of stuff, but she always does such an amazing job. So thank you, ladies. It's so great having this team that I can go to for every project that I do, and know that I don't have to worry about what they're doing, that they're going to come through, that they're going to keep in good contact with me, because communication is really everything when you're partnering with people, especially when you're not like in the same room or city even as people. I mean, one of them lives in France, the other one lives in the Southeast, so it's really a challenge at times to coordinate time zones and meetings and all that sort of thing. But I worked on enough projects with both of them, and I fully trust them. They do a spectacular job. I can say, here's my stick figure, and Kelly will turn it into something amazing, and Rebecca will find space for the wording, and they communicate with each other, which helps. Just amazing. I'm so lucky to have this team. So as I started developing the songs, I thought I'll wait to figure out the order of the songs until I have everything written and I can really listen and see what's a good place to start it, how should it continue, what's the flow going to be. I knew how I wanted the third album to end. So everything in between just became sort of, okay, what pieces are going to be good connective tissue to get from the first album all the way through the third? How is it going to be cohesive? What's a good order for not just the songs, but also the which narrator I was using? Really wanted to just keep a nice balanced flow from one thing to another. The topics on this album are a little bit more religious historical than the first album, where I was just taking the actual song lyrics and going, what other story could I tell here? And I did that to an extent on this one as well, but I went in some different directions from the first one. So these two albums really do set themselves apart from the first, both in recording and writing and idea structure. But I think they hold up well, and I think as a trilogy, I think that they do very well together. I really like every time I think about the process of doing these albums, it just kind of brings back a lot of great memories. So this first song, God Rest Ye Many Limbless Men, really came from the concept of how was good and evil decided? You know, where was it decided that this is how it was going to be presented, that this is what people should be afraid of, that this is what people should aspire to, and the differences between those. And thinking that, you know, maybe the story that they told in the beginning was not the story that we have now, that they kind of created something and went, okay, people aren't buying that, that didn't work, let's try something else, and then coming up with a story that we have today. So in this case, we put baby Jesus in the role of the villain, in Santanamos, the one that becomes the replacement, sort of. And it's a fun little journey. I don't think it's a story that's ever been told quite this way before. In fact, I can't think of any story where Jesus was the villain or where he was aggressive other than the story of the temple. So I thought it was interesting to kind of change the roles around a little bit and then just go with it and see what developed. And I think the story is pretty cohesive. It's pretty dark and graphic, which is a really good way to kick off the album. I didn't want to go too soft in the beginning. I wanted to just say, hey, the ride's starting and you're buckled in, so let's go and see where the car takes us. So I think it was a good track to pick for the beginning, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.